Yo, what's good everyone? Today I want to speak about social media, how to get over the fear of posting, and basically putting your fitness journey, or any kind of journey really, into a social media format. How did I get over the fear of posting? Why am I not scared to post? Why, don't I feel scared to post? A lot of this stuff ties into what I spoke about in my last video, which is just about blessings and utilizing what you're given, basically. To correct what I said in the last video, actually, in that parable, in Jesus' parable of the talents, everyone's given a different amount of talents. Someone actually corrected me in the TikTok comments. I thought that everyone was given the same amount. I think it actually makes the parable even more profound, because the person that only had one talent said to themselves, well, I only had one. What was I meant to do with it? And it's like the master still said, you could have done something with it. So whatever it is, don't disregard it or discount it. But I say this to say that, like, when it comes to posting and fear of posting, if you have something that you want to share with the world, take pride in that. Take value, like see the value in it. One of my favorite athletes of all time is Danny Cipriani, and I watched a YouTube documentary a few years ago about his life. And one thing that stood out to me was what they described as him having bulletproof self-confidence. It was the idea that he would try a special move on a play, it wouldn't work, the other team would score, everyone would shout at him, and he'd do the exact same thing on the next play. When it comes to social media and posting, and bear in mind, I'm still learning a lot of this stuff myself. This is not something that I find easy to implement. It's not something that, I'm now at a point where I just do this seamlessly. Every single time I post a video and I check back after a couple of hours and it hasn't popped off, it hasn't gone viral, and I don't have X amount of people messaging me saying, we want to sponsor you, we want to change your life, I do feel, a kind of way. But at the same time, objectively, I recognize that there is a path that I'm following by the grace of God. There is a set of steps that I have to go through that I might not even be able to see, but I know that those are the steps that I'm making towards it. To give you a little bit of background about my history, I've been posting on the internet since I was maybe 11. I had a little YouTube channel. Everyone had a YouTube channel when they were younger. I used to post videos. Some of them are still on here, actually. I used to post videos about, stop motion animations, things that I was interested in. I got social media all the time on social media. I designed clothes. I posted about those for a while. I've made TikToks on another account before. I started fitness. I started documenting my fitness journey and my relationship with bodybuilding fitness on my other account. I used to do weekly updates. A year before, I think 2 years before that, or a year before that, I'd also been thinking about uploading fitness and bodybuilding related content based on the edits I was seeing, but I posted 2 videos, it didn't work, so I gave up basically for a year. I realized I never said it in the video, but one of the reasons is like a little bit of a law drop as to why one of the names I use is 42 Burners with my social media is that when I started my TikTok account, it was initially my @, and 42 Burners is because I started it as a burner account. Compared to the first time that I spoke about 2 years before I started Graftarder42/42 Burners on TikTok, it was, very much I want to, go big, I want to get big, I want to blow up on TikTok and everything. And this time coming into it, I sort of took that pressure off of myself. I took that kind of mindset out of it, and it was more a place where I could use it as personal documentation. But yeah, that's just sort of how my approach changed from the first time to the second time coming into it. I feel like compared to most people, I'm pretty comfortable with the idea of putting myself out there to be seen and observed by other people. But the point is that even still, I don't care. Seeing the ways in which you can help people and people can benefit from listening to your content, believing that what you say has value, believing that the things that you can put out on the internet has value, being able to look at people that are high performers in any kind of area that you're into, fashion, politics, debate, music, bodybuilding, fitness, looking at these people and humanizing them. I think that's a very, very important thing to do. You need to be able to look at people and say to them, there's no reason why I can't do what they've done. A lot of Nigerian parents say this to their kids, but it's like, do they have 2 heads and you have 1? What do they have that you don't? What do they have? What skill do they possess that puts them so far ahead of you that you can't even conceptualize doing what they're doing? Why is what they say 10 times more valuable than what you have to say? You'll come to the answer that it's not. They're a human being, they bleed just like you do. So there's no reason why you shouldn't have the same confidence in your ability to make content. Not that you'll be able to make content straight out the gate, you're making high quality, super informative, super wise videos, but the point is that it's a journey, it's a learning experience. You're not going to be able to make things to the best of your ability necessarily straight away. Some of you might be able to. Eventually, you have the ability, you have the potential to get to wherever it is that you're looking at to get to. I think that most people underestimate the fact that they have the ability to progress into what they want to progress into. So my first point is obviously about how social media can change other lives and impact other lives, which I think is probably the biggest blessing, to be honest with you. But secondly, and don't sleep on this, like everyone wants to say it, but it's very, very true, how it can change your own life too. I've seen people's lives change overnight from social media. I've seen people's lives change over the course of years from social media. People will judge you, people will laugh at you, people will make fun of you. And in my mind, what I think to myself is that these people that I'm worried about judging me, these people that I went to school with, these people that I know, these people that I admire, these people that I don't admire, these people that I don't like, none of them know my middle name. God forbid, if someone were to have an accident today, would they come to help you? Are they putting money in your back pocket? Are they going to put food on your table? Because you have an accident and you can't support yourself. Are they going to feed you? Are they going to help you? And if I told you that the way in which to circumvent that, a way in which you can prop yourself up is just by posting, they're going to laugh at you, they're going to make fun of you. I don't even like most of these people. Most of the people that I'm worried about judging me, I don't even like them. So why on earth am I now going to allow that to impact whether I do something, I utilize a skill that God has given me? King Saul in the Bible was the first king of Israel. One moment that stood out in his career compared to someone like King David was that he went against the direct command of Samuel the prophet, a direct command from God, because he was afraid of what the people were going to think. So I remember in 2019, if you were a boy and you had TikTok, people would look at you funny, in 2019. If I had started posting in 2019, if you had started posting in 2019, think about the kind of things that you could have achieved by now. Now, if you don't have TikTok, you're kind of weird. If you allow the things that you do, if you allow the things that you pursue, the things that you want to achieve in life to be dictated by the people around you, you're never going to be able to stand out. If you allow the average to control you, if you allow the masses to control you, you're never going to be able to do anything extraordinary. Because the average, by definition, is average. If you allow the average person to control your thoughts, your thinking, you are going to be, by definition, average. There's way too much in this life to take for granted. I've seen too many people's lives benefit from this. I've seen too many people's lives be changed by this. And I suppose a counterpoint to this is that, social media is a highlight. You don't see all of the things that people have to do behind the scenes for all of this stuff. You don't see the things people go through in the fitness. It's not easy. Nothing good comes easy. Very, very few in fact, I wouldn't even say nothing, but very few good things come easy. If I told you it was going to take 5 years to get to where you need to get to, and your thought is that 5 years is too long, well then I think psychologically you've already lost. 5 years is going to pass anyway. Pick your difficulty. In 5 years' time, do you want to look back and say, oh, I wish I spent these 5 last years doing something that I really have a passion to do, that I really have a love for, but I let other people define me, I let other people... If these people don't know your middle name, they don't care about you. Even the worst that they'll do in terms of judging you, they might leave a comment. They might even DM you saying that they hate your content, they think you're stupid, they think you're dumb, they think you're ugly, whatever. And then what? Then what? If you're in school, they'll laugh at you for a bit, then what? Correct, the answer is nothing. I feel like I've always been very blessed to have people around me that are quite supportive. And if anyone doesn't like my content, no one's ever really told me, so I don't really have that barrier in my head. I think I've really struggled a lot of my life with thinking too heavily about relying too much on feedback. I used to play a lot of rugby, and I remember I used to ask my coaches all the time for feedback. And that's a whole other story if we want to get into that. But my coach, it basically got to a point where the guy wasn't giving me any feedback, wasn't giving me anything, and he'd actually almost mock me for seeking out feedback. He would let me know that he didn't care that I was seeking feedback. He would let me know that he didn't care that I was trying to be better. And that's what happens when you show yourself too much to people. Things like sending your videos to people for their approval. Not that you want them to give you tips to improve it or anything, but for their approval. You want them to give their expertise on it. What makes them more of an expert than you? Do they not consume content like you? This then ties into your ideas about what content to make, how to make your content. You don't need, you can send it to people to review it and to give you tips and suggestions and everything. I think it's helpful, but you don't need to do that. You don't need anyone else to tell you, I think you should do this, I think you should do that. You have everything you need within you. These people that started, these big accounts that started, they're no different to you. They're flesh and blood, just like you. I see comments sometimes that people leave on my page, and they're like, I want to be like you, I want to get like you. First of all, no, you don't, because like social media is a highlight. Social media is a highlight. I'm not everything that appears on social media. You guys only see the best physique clips that I post. You guys only see the best audios. You guys only see the best things that I put out there. And because that's the nature of what social media is for. That's what I use it for. It's where I can document, the wins. Sometimes I put losses on there, but not all of them. And so you can't base your understanding of like what my life is like off of those few things. I think as well as that, bro, I'm a human being. A lot of the things that guys message me about, talking about, sometimes you guys message me about things that I'm struggling with myself. Can you help me with this? You have any advice for this? I'm struggling with the same thing. And of course, I'll be more than happy to give you advice where I can, as a brother, as someone that, is going through the same thing. But don't put people on a pedestal. There's no reason to put I'm a tiny influencer. I'm not saying that I'm any of your favorite creators at all. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is that if you do have favorite creators, don't put them on this higher plane than you. Sure, what they've done is impressive, and don't discredit what they've done either. Give credit to where credit's due. I really do believe in that. But at the same time, don't think that they're leaps and bounds ahead of you. They're leaps and bounds above you. I try and read a lot more about Yoruba history. I'd like to get more into it. I'd like to learn more about it, because I think it's important from a cultural preservation standpoint. Obviously, I don't believe in it. I'm a Christian, but I think that it's incredibly important, irrespective of your religion, to know about your culture. A lot of discoveries that were made were known about in Yoruba history, in Yoruba tradition. But because the Yoruba have the tendency to deify, to make the people that make these excellent discoveries, make excellent contributions to society into Orisha, it distances them from the rest of the Yoruba population. And how that applies into this example, the way that I'm using it to apply into this example, is don't deify these creators. Take inspiration from them, learn from them. But do not deify these people. Just because they have this sponsorship, or they make an edit in a certain way, they have muscles that look like this, you can do the same thing. But at the same time, allow yourself to be inspired by social media. In this age that we live in, where everybody wants to, hate on and say that, this is fake, this is not real, this is a highlight reel, this and the other, allow yourself to be delusional. I remember that when I got into, when I started exercising, really, my biggest inspirations in terms of fitness and like things that I wanted to get into, people that I wanted to look like, were like Spider-Man, Goku. Now looking back, obviously they're comic book characters, they're not real. Even today, I look at physiques of characters that have been drawn, they're not real human beings. And I say to myself, I'd like to look at this. For my own personal progression, it's been helpful for me to believe in these things that push me to be greater. It's been helpful for me to believe in these characters, despite the fact that they might not be real. Despite the fact that they're not real. It's been helpful for me to look at them and use that high point as a source of inspiration and something to aim towards. Aim for Jupiter, you're going to at least make it to the moon, and you might make it to Jupiter. I just thank God. Like, I have to thank God every single day, because like I said in my last video, you don't choose these inspirations. You don't pick what you're inspired by. You don't pick when you get into certain things. You don't pick the certain influences that you have. You don't pick the things that trigger you to do certain things. All of this stuff is Thanksgiving, and by the grace of God, like, this is the most I can do to try and help and to try and talk about these kind of things. Allow yourself to have some faith in it. That's why I don't really get into the whole fake natural debate. Is Shizzy a fake natural? I don't care. The point is that he's at somewhere that I think is inspirational, and I'm going to try and gun for it. And by the grace of God, I'll make it there. I think the point is that people, when they don't get what they want out of something, when you see trying to reach something as a means to an end, I need to get that thing, I need to obtain that, I need to have that, and then you don't get it, and then you feel offended that you didn't get it. They don't owe it to you. You don't deserve that thing that you're gunning for. Paul speaks about us running a race, and in my mind, the race that we run for righteousness is eternal. The righteous man falls 7 times and gets up, but the wicked shall fall into calamity. Obviously 7 representing whole and not literally 7 times. But the point that I'm trying to raise anyways is that like it's an infinite grind, it's an infinite process. You may never reach your end goal, but the point is that the journey that gets you there, that's the important thing. That's where you learn, that's where you grow, that's where you develop. That is more valuable than actually getting there.
Yeah, my camera died. But in essence, what I was trying to say was that the journey that gets you to the end goal, the only reason that the end goal is because of all of the things that led to it. Mount Everest is only the highest point in the world because of all of the miles that lead up to it, right? And so my point anyways is that you being offended or upset that you haven't necessarily reached your goal and then taking it out on the people that you see on social media and saying that, well, you know, if they got it, they must be lying. You know, you're missing the point. You're missing out on the benefits that you got from this thing. But to be honest, I feel like almost all of my points from this video could be summed up by me just saying that any kind of fears that you have, any worries that you have, any cons from putting yourself out there, putting something that you are passionate about out there for people to see, any kind of cons there are significantly outweighed by the pros. The benefits that it can have to your own life, the benefits it can have in other people's lives. And I think you pretty quickly realize that even if you don't get to reach that many people, even if you don't get, you know, personal sponsorships or benefits from it or things that change your life in the traditional sense, you're still going to use it as a personal accountability tool. It's still somewhere where you can divert your energy and attention. With that being said, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all, and let's keep pushing hard.